Jay-Z's accuser had a secret tape leaked from private investigators. Alex Spiro was on Good Morning America this morning and played an audio of the Jane Doe saying that Jay-Z never did anything to her, but he was at this party. And this is the first part of this that has me confused, because Alex Spiro said many times that there was no party because this didn't happen.
Jay-Z, you're saying he was definitely there? But he had no part in it, or he was just...
He was there. He was just there, but he didn't have anything to do with any sexual acts towards you. It was strictly, yeah.
The woman is also heard saying her lawyer put her up to suing one of the world's most recognizable stars.
He was the one that kind of pushed me towards going forward with him. With Jay-Z. Buzbee did? Yeah.
Do you know why?
No.
And then Tony Buzbee played an audio clip from her also on Good Morning America of her saying that she never told these private investigators any of this.
The accuser's lawyer, Tony Buzbee, called it a blatant lie that he pushed Jane Doe to sue Jay-Z, and he sent us this recording of a phone call with his client.
They say that they have you on tape denying that Jay-Z assaulted you. Is that true?
No. I don't. I never said that.
Okay. They also say that you told them, and they have it on tape, that I, Tony Buzbee, told you to came up with this plan and told you to say that Jay-Z assaulted you so you would get more money.
No. I feel like this whole situation is a mess, but there is a couple questions that should be being asked. All of this is being used in Jay-Z's extortion case against Tony Buzbee, and the Jane Doe put in an affidavit and said that she was terrified because these private investigators found her and then were coming to question her and allegedly cornered her on her porch. She said that these people wanted her to sign an affidavit, which she did not do, and they were also going after her mother and father, trying to get them to sign an affidavit as well, saying none of the claims that she said against Jay-Z and Diddy were true. In Jay-Z's extortion case, we also have the private investigator who put in an affidavit who said that she doesn't work for Jay-Z, but they found this Jane Doe and they went and questioned her about Jay-Z. I think that this is a huge question that nobody's poking back at. Why would a random private investigator somehow find this woman that is a Jane Doe after she dropped her lawsuit and go after her to question her about Jay-Z if it's not coming from Jay-Z or his legal team, like she says in this affidavit? And I think the reason why the private investigators are saying in the affidavits that they weren't hired by Jay-Z or his counsel is because Tony Buzbee has 3 lawsuits right now against Roc Nation in Texas saying that they used private investigators to go after his clients and offer them money to file fake lawsuits against him. Now, in Jay-Z's extortion case against Tony Buzbee, he was actually losing unless he brought evidence proving that Tony Buzbee was trying to extort him. And he was saying that Tony Buzbee is the one that sent this Jane Doe and pushed her into naming Jay-Z. And this is also what Jay-Z is trying to say in his lawsuit that he just recently filed against this Jane Doe and Tony Buzbee. And he's trying to say that Tony Buzbee pushed this Jane Doe into lying and naming Jay-Z in the lawsuit. There's a big problem with Jay-Z trying to say this because Tony Buzbee is saying, actually Jane Doe was referred to me by the Able Law Group. Tony Buzbee is saying in that intake form with Able Law Group is where this Jane Doe first said that it was Diddy and Jay-Z that allegedly essayed her. And he's saying that these private investigators likely didn't know that the paper trail will demonstrate and prove what they say to be false. Do you guys remember when Tony Buzbee did that press conference with the 1-800 number talking about all the Diddy cases that were getting ready to drop? Well, this was actually in partnership with the Able Law Group. The man that owns this call center that was filtering all the calls that they got about Diddy works for the Able Law Group as a lawyer. Now, the call center where all of these calls were going to is owned by Mr. Van Arsendale, who is also a lawyer at the Able Law Group. And after going through the first collecting and assessing of the complaints, they are then turned over to the client law firms or to his own law firm, the Able Law Group. Mr. Van Arsendale has been in the legal advertising business since 2010. 2006, but he decided to become a lawyer and he passed the bar in 2018, and shortly after he was asked to join his first SA case, which was a case over Boy Scouts. 6 days after Mr. Van Arsdale agreed to work with Tony Buzbee, this is when they held the news conference at which Tony Buzbee announced that they had 120 clients who attended to sue Diddy in front of that 1-800 number. After that press conference, Mr. Van Arsdale said that there were more than 26,000 calls related to Diddy cases, and more than 600 came to be viewed as potential cases. Only 200 of these were sent to Tony Buzbee, where Tony Buzbee said his lawyers and former police personnel would continue to vet the claims. These calls started at the call center that is owned by Mr. Van Arsdale, who also works at the ABA Law Group, and he said it ferrets out false claims. You know you're going to have scam artists out there, so you have to have the proper processes and procedures in place to try to stomp them out. The questionnaire from a call is reviewed by a second employee who decides whether to pass it on to the litigation support. Their staffers gather more information and test whether the account is consistent. And then if those claims survive the weed out process from the call center, then they are sent to Mr. Van Arsdale's law firm, the AVA Law Group. And then their lawyers seek further corroboration, including witness testimony and or police and medical records. So really, I feel like the only reason that this stuff with the private investigator is happening is because Jay-Z's extortion case, because this is where it all started in that case, and his other lawsuit that he filed against the Jane Doe and Tony Buzbee, saying that Tony Buzbee is the one that pushed this Jane Doe into lying and making up the story. Technically now, I don't think that the Jane Doe statement is going to help Jay-Z go after Tony Buzbee, because if Tony Buzbee can prove that the Jane Doe on her intake form with the ABA Law Group already named Jay-Z, then it wouldn't be Tony Buzbee pushing her to make up this lie like Jay-Z is trying to claim. But you can guarantee this war is far from over. There are lawsuits all over the place when it comes to Tony Buzbee and Jay-Z. Jay-Z has lawsuits against Tony Buzbee, and Tony Buzbee has lawsuits against Jay-Z. I will be following it to see where all of this goes, but y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.